Recording. So as I was preparing for today's Monday motivation mindset call, I was going over just some excerpts from this one book called The Art of Impossible by Stephen Kotler, and he was going over just kind of the 5 intrinsic motivators that play into our psychology and our neuroprogramming for achievement, and how like high performers and top performers tap into and use these intrinsic motivating factors to level up and continue to stack production and performance. And I mean, I was writing it down. I was like, okay, this is some cool content and information. And yet there was just something that caused me pause. And I wanted to, before I just jump into and go into like prescriptive mode, I want to touch base. I want to just kind of take everyone's temperature. And I want to ask you right now, what are the current biggest challenges that you're having with mindset? And before you answer that, let me phrase it in another way that makes it a little bit more maybe apparent to like point your finger at something. Is, there's a formula for success that Timothy Galway writes in his book, the Inner Game of Tennis, and it was the capital P equals little p minus I, and we talk about your performance is a function of your potential minus any interference that we allow. And that interference is often mindset, limiting beliefs, fears, perceived lack of information, drive, etc. What interference is showing up right now in your world, at your current level, at your area that you just want to dive into and tackle and talk about? Before I just jump into some general whatever, like, hey, this was cool, I thought this was cool, I want to go back down into the field and put my finger on the pulse. What are you dealing with? What are you working with? What's holding you back from your ultimate potential right now? Or what keeps showing up that's holding you back, that's getting in the way?
I'm going to stop moving around here in 1 second, but I really am very, very empathetic with my clients and things. And I find that I end up spending way too much time dealing with certain specific clients and their things that are going on that are totally irrelevant to my business. And I try really hard to get out of it, but I'm not good at it. It's getting out of whatever these other problems are, if that makes sense.
Is it like you're just getting drawn into more conversation about it, or like actually having to do something about it?
I feel like that I get put in a situation a lot of times to resolve problems that are not even mine, and I'm trying to empower them to take care of those things on their own, but somehow I get sucked into it.
Okay.
I think Michelle even may have witnessed some of this. So maybe she has some outsider insight on it.
I kind of understand what you're saying. I get drawn into their drama sometimes. I'm so empathetic too. And then I spend more time trying to help them with their hurts or their problems in their drama.
The fixer. You guys are the fixers.
So
I fix everything.
So I was listening to a parenting podcast this past week, and they were talking about our empathy is destroying our kids' resiliency.
Mm-hmm.
And all of our well-meaning support is creating ineffective and codependent future adults. And some of those future adults are now adults that are living that world. And they said, we can't keep them from all of these things, right? In order for us to really equip them and give them exactly the things that we're wanting to give them, which is resiliency, which is grit, which is all that, they have to suffer. They have to experience it. And this podcaster was talking about, it's not my responsibility for you not to be bored. I don't have to entertain you. However, you can still have an empathetic response and say, huh, I can't wait to see what you do about it. I'm really looking forward to see how you figure this out. And I think that there's some times with our clients that we can use that as well and say, shoot, that sounds like a really tough situation. Let me know what you figure out. Shoot, I totally hear you. Let me know what you do about it. Let me know how I can support with what you've done. Like, right? Like it's like at some point, like, I don't know. I think it's what makes you who you are, which is great, which is caring and service based and supportive. But again, it's is there a net positive energy exchange versus just being taken and having people take, right? Because
No,
there's a
absolutely.
balance.
Because I feel like a lot of people, they're like, they're energy vampires. And I am really gotten a lot better about spotting them, but I still find myself sometimes in that like trap, and it's like exhausting.
Yeah.
Can I say something harsh, Brooke? And it's just because
Yeah,
I say this to myself all the time.
yeah.
It's an ego thing. If we don't fix people, if we don't make people see, like it's part of it is proving our value, right? Do we have that worth and that value? If you've got that client that wants to fix up their home and you can do it, you want to provide that value to them. And in your mind,
Mhm.
I mean, it's kind of an ego thing. It builds you up as well that you have the ability to do that. But also, like, we don't want to deal with our emotions where when you're empathetic and you feel other people's emotions, sometimes we don't want to deal with the fact that if they hurt, we're going to hurt. And we don't know how to put up those boundaries.
Yeah.
So we're fixing them so that we don't have to hurt in turn.
No, I see that. This is just like, this is like a stupid example, but this is like something that happened. I had a client, we did a final walkthrough. She didn't say anything was wrong. We had told them to, it was a for sale by owner. There was a lot of trash at this house. She kept telling me over and over again, they can leave whatever they want. I don't care if they leave anything. And I said, be careful of saying that, because then they will leave whatever they want to leave. We go there for the final walkthrough. She didn't say anything to me about there being an issue. Then went on for 10 days straight to me, sending me messages of crap that they left, things that she was upset about, telling me how, they should give her a credit for like a dumpster and all these things. And I'm thinking, I didn't just think, I told her, I was like, we did the final walkthrough. You didn't say anything, was wrong. That was your opportunity to have brought it up. Like, into, pretty much end of discussion. Before I know it, she's got like her sister on the phone. I had to put her sister in her place. I'm like, this is ridiculous. I'm like, 10 days after closing, I'm still dealing with this girl's trash that she said was okay that it was left.
Yeah.
It's that kind of stuff. It's literally that stupid, but it's time consuming.
Well, yeah. And just, you just did what you did is just be really clear. Hey, I suggested you not say that, and you said it, and then we went through it. And so this is what it is. Would you like me to give you some numbers for some dumpsters?
That's
You want
funny
me-
because that's what I did. I sent her 3 names of dumpsters.
Yeah,
I'm
I've
glad
got
that's what
people.
you said. 'Cause
I've got some people. Maybe I can even get you some names of some high schoolers that'll work for on an hourly to fill the dumpster. Like, how would you like me to support you here as well? That's it. Hey, congratulations on the house, though.
yeah, it's just the thing that for me, and maybe it is the ego thing, want to help them and stuff. It's you know, I guess just the mindset of just letting that go and not making that my problem.
Let them.
It's not about figure. Yes, that's
Just let
yeah.
them. Let them flail. Let them have a tantrum. Let them, and then let you be there as the resource. Let you provide them the numbers. Let you remind them of the advice that you gave them. You did your job. They got the house. They got it at a great deal. They got it, despite competition. Some people will be the way they are. Let them. Doesn't have anything to do with you. If it's not you, it'd be the next person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Matt, can we roll this into another issue that I think a lot of us have, which is the fear of making the client unhappy. So we're not going to have a repeat referral. We're not going to have a good review, those kind of things, like letting them kind of run over you because you want
Can you
to
give
have a
like an
client in your.
example?
Yeah, I mean, mine would be very similar to what Brooks is, right? Like you get to the end of a transaction and then they're very unhappy with things in the way that it transpired, not necessarily what you did, but all of a sudden they're finding things later on. And oh, like I have a client right now that I think they're just so stressed about moving and their family situation that they left the baby swing that is attached to the deck because they said that was affixed. They left a can of, a garbage can out there. But then there's just all these things, right? And you're trying to, again, go back to where Brooke was. We're trying to fix it. We're trying to keep them happy. Um, but it's more about like, I want to have a good relationship because I'm a sphere-based business and I want to, have repeats, referrals from them and almost that fear of like, well, if you don't fix it for them or if you don't help calm that angst from them, like how do you have a conversation with them that isn't throwing yourself under the bus, saying, hey, I'll come pick up that trash for you. I'll come do all these things that the seller should have done, being empathetic and trying to like marry that together with the right conversation to help them understand, like kind of empower them to take care of it, but still see your value.
So there's a couple of things there. Like number one is if it's something the seller should have done and they agreed to, then yeah, then we got to step in and help make the seller finish their job or the other agent and then come up with a solution there. But if it's just like the things that are coming up that are just causing the frustrations through the thing, yeah, like I'm all about being the empathetic ear. And sometimes people just need to say it out loud to somebody. And then as soon as they're done, they're like, well, I don't want you to do anything about it. I just needed to say it. Right. Like I have conversations with people all the time saying, I'm not complaining. I just don't have anybody else to say this to. And I'm like, okay, well, yeah, cool. Let it out. Right. And then is there anything that you'd like for me to do from here on out? And like ask them. And
I
if
think
they
that's great. That was the best aha moment right there. Sympathize, like empathize, and then say, is there anything you'd like? Why are we not asking the question? Is there anything you'd like me to do before jumping into trying to fix it?
don't assume,
Yeah.
right? I have a spreadsheet. I've got kind of on the next Monday call. Um, oh yeah, text versus call. Yeah, if they're blowing you up with text, pick up the call. The call is the best part. Like yeah, um, I have a list of ways of handling uh issues that we'll go through. I don't have it. I don't have it memorized completely. It's like 12 things that you can do to de-escalate high emotion when it comes down to it, right? Um, but yeah, I just empathize and then ask, what would you like me to do? How would you like me to resolve this? How can I support you? What do you need? Who do we got to bury?
Who do we got to bury?
Who we got to bury? Right? And sometimes all it takes is like, depending on who I'm talking to, like I'll throw a little one-liner in them like that. Be like, listen, do I got to call my Uncle Vinny? Like, what do we got to do? And then they'll laugh and I laugh and then they're cool. And then they leave and then they're like, okay, they just want to know this. You're still on their side.
Yeah.
Right. And they may not want anything other than to just like, because they're in there picking up this trash and they're like, stupid sellers. Look,
I'm going to use that one. I'm going to call my Uncle Vinny.
Hey, you need to call Uncle Vinny. We'll take care of this quietly, discreetly.
Yeah, and I think you're right. I mean, the funny thing is, I said, "Oh, we've got a truck. I'll just come grab your garbage can." And my brother's got a dumpster at this house, and we can just throw it out. And they're like, "No, like you did enough. We're not expecting you to do that." So I mean, I guess at the end of the day, it's about trying to understand: are they venting or are they asking us to fix a problem for them? And don't assume.
It's my number one area of opportunity. I want to jump in and fix it and get over it. Like I'm too impatient. So I just want to assume I already know what the solution is, but that's not it. Some people just need a second. They just want to talk. And that for me is crazy. Like I don't understand it. Like I'm like, it's way too much emotion. I don't care on it. Like honestly, like here's the thing. I'm gonna say this because we're friends, right? I don't actually care. But I'm gonna listen to you because I do care about you, but I don't like it's like, how do I say this in a way, like, just my behavioral style? Thanks for telling me. What are you going to do about it? Right?
Sometimes I wish I didn't care.
I was thinking the same thing, Peggy. I was
Right.
like, I wish I didn't sometimes.
I mean, I do, but I don't. Like, it's hard for me to really describe it. Like, I do. I'm going to listen to you, but I'm also going to be sitting here going, so how are you going to fix it? Like, fix it. I'll help you, but I'm not going to do it for you.
I think sometimes too, if you have a response like that, that's just like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
It helps the other people get better perspective. Like maybe this isn't as big of a deal because 99% of the time it's little things, right? That people get so worked up about, like leaving a trash can, leaving random things. I had somebody literally lose their minds because there was a piece of hair in a bathroom drawer, just a single piece. You know, how, like you wipe it out and sometimes it just doesn't come out, right? Losing her mind talking through it, and I guess my face doesn't always hide things, and she could tell that I was not freaking out on the level that she was freaking out, and she kind of stopped and she was like, this really isn't that big of a deal, is it? And I was like, is it? And she's like, no, it's not. I got my house, everything is perfect, there's a hair. That's it. It really had more to do with other things, and that was just the thing that made her blow up. It's usually these little things and us reacting in a chill, like way, like Matt just said, puts it into perspective for them, and it's like, oh, okay, it's
Now, let
okay.
me clarify. I'm not just cold-hearted blank slate. Like, I do care about people, but I have a zero frustration for victims and complaining. Now, with that also being said, part of what we offer is exceptional service and like unreasonable hospitality and creating wow moments. So how do we do that? Like, so if they would like us to do something, well, then cool. I'm going to take that and really run with it. If there's something I can anticipate, I'm going to do my best to do so to create those moments and experiences. Um, so, like, take what I say with a grain of salt and also context. If you know me, like, if you know me, you know me. I do care. And I want to empower you to find a solution too. And I'm here to help as long as you're helping yourself as well. Any other challenges, obstacles, limiting beliefs? Oh, Peggy, you're sweet. I appreciate that. Some people they don't get it. Any other interference? What else? What else is showing up that's just getting in the way of your ultimate performance and stopping your potential? What's keeping you at your current level as you're trying to elevate?
Apparently everybody is at their ultimate level.
I know. I feel like maybe one of the things is like the desire to look good and be right in public with strangers is the thing that's holding a lot of us back by not saying anything.
I know one thing we struggle with, like a lot of our team members too, is the leveraging to get up to the second level. So almost like a scarcity mindset in a way of this is like how do we divide and conquer? How do we hire to leverage to help other people so that you're not, you know, that whole concept we talk about, right, Matt, where it's sometimes you've got to let go of some to grow to the next level. You can't get to 200% if you're not letting go a little bit, taking a step back and then moving forward.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Yeah, the whole lever leverage, understanding leverage, and then finding out when you're ready to leverage, and then what are the levels of leverage. Boy, that's its own masterclass. Because if you think about it, going back to the cash flow quadrant from Robert Kiyosaki, raise your hand, throw a thumbs up in the chat. Have you read Cash Flow Quadrant by Robert Kiyosaki? And if you haven't, you must. It's like it was his successor to Rich Dad Poor Dad. It was the second conversation around understanding the different quadrants of how we make money. And the four quadrants, it's just a box that's broken into four. The first one, the upper left, is the employee quadrant, which is low income, high risk. And a lot of people mistake that because they think, well, I've got a job, it's secure, it's safe. Well, ask all the people that just got cut. Ask the people that get layoffs just because of restructuring and reorganization. There's people that are like months away from retirement that get removed because they don't want to have to pay out pensions. Like there's all kinds of not secure things that happen to employees that give their whole life to a company, right? So employee, slowest way to get rich, highest risk. Then there's self-employed, which is you can make a lot of money, also super high risk when you're self-employed. A lot of people think self-employed is you're running a business. You're not. You just have a really high paid job. Because if you're by yourself, if you're sick and you don't work, what happens to the money? Doesn't have nothing. So it stops. Everything stops when you stop. So being self-employed, ultra high risk, but higher reward. You get to keep more of what you make. Crossing over into the upper right-hand quadrant, which is the B quadrant, a business owner. This is where you start to implement systems and leverage. And systems are people's tools and systems, right? Or leverage is people, tools, and systems, where people work for you. The systems are operating behind the scenes, and you've got other forms of leverage going on as well. The difference between going from S to B, that gap that separates the two, that's a massive skill set in understanding the value of multiplying people's efforts. And Dan Martell writes an amazing book. He wrote a book called Buy Back Your Time. For those of you that are self-proclaimed control freaks, no one can do it as good as I do. I don't want to slow down to teach anybody. You know, I don't want to have to deal with people that are only doing 80% as good as I am. Like this just doesn't work. I'll just work harder. You need that book. Get that book. Your family needs you to get that book. Get that book called Buy Back Your Time. And in that book, he says, listen, somebody doing the things that you could do only 70% as good as you can do is 1,000% awesome, because it allows you to go out and do more of the things that are driving revenue to the company, right? So a lot of beginners see leverage as an expense, not an investment, because they think it's going to be a magic pill, that they don't hold leverage accountable. And the thing is that for a while, you've got two jobs. You've got what you're doing, and now also bringing your systems and your people up to speed to then be self-maintained. There's no instant transfer. Even with VAs, virtual assistants, I see people mess up with virtual assistants all the time. They're sold this person is trained and they're just going to jump into your business and solve all your problems. No, they're an employee. They happen to be across the world or across the country. But the thing is that if you just show up on Monday and say, hey, or do all these things, and on a Friday, you're like, well, what did you do? And they're like, I don't know, because they're up at 2 a.m. while their family's sleeping and they don't know what to do. And they're sitting in a closet, doing your spreadsheets. I don't know. Anyways, the leverage piece, understanding when, how much, that's incredibly difficult. And once you start figuring that piece out, everything changes. That's when your world opens up.
I think it starts at the most basic level, right? Of when you need a transaction coordinator, which I would almost argue is right out the gate.
I did 3 of my own transactions to feel like I understood the paperwork, and I don't think you need to do more than 3. If you think you need to do more than 3, number one, I don't know, number one, why? Number two, that's immediately when I started sleeping better. Because I just remember going oh, did I get that checkbox? Or what day is it? Do we have this? What part of the resolution am I in? I just never knew what was needed or what was coming. And then my transaction coordinator just in the morning was like, okay, I need this, this, and this, or I'm getting this, this, and this, and then we're good to go. Closings on this date, already put on your calendar. I'm like, yes. Just tell me where to be.
If we just got somebody to do our laundry for the Airbnb, I think we could get our occupancy up to 20% more. And it's just trying to convince my husband that he can't, he thinks he's the only one that can do this. It's like, honey, you're killing me, Smalls.
Laundry?
Laundry, yeah.
Well, tell him that you're no longer paying him a portion of the revenue. You're just going to pay him hourly for what it would cost for the laundry, and see if he still wants to do it. If you want to be the laundry person, I'm going to pay you what we would pay them, and see if you still want to.
I even say you're 65. Yeah. You're 65. Do you want to be doing laundry until we retire? Really? He's retired though. He's retired. It's like, go golf, please go golf.
Hey, listen, if laundry's his passion, though, let him launder with cousin Vinny.
Let them, right?
Let well, I mean, look, at some point, if it's not taking away from quality of life and he feels like he's got a sense of purpose and that too, cool. Like, but at what point, like when you scale, you just got to ask the question, great, let's agree right now, after how many are you going to let that go?
And does it just impact him or does it flow over to you?
And what are we going to, like, if we want to go away for a month, how are we going to do this? Why wouldn't we start that now? So awesome, guys. Look, I appreciate your openness, your willingness to share, your vulnerability. I do care. I'm here. That's why I'm on the call. I do care. We'll see you on Wednesday. Same time, same channel for Workshop Wednesday. We'll see you then, guys. Later.